call, I want to speak just briefly about today. Today was the funeral of John Wyatt, and John Wyatt has been a member of our committee for 8 years, and he was a friend to everybody in this room. John Wyatt was faithful, he was loyal, and beyond Republican Party politics, John's purpose in life was to lead people to Christ. And that's what supersedes all of this, no matter what, is the fact that we are trying to build our testimony to lead others to Christ. That's the purpose of the Republican Party, is to be a vessel that can be used to win souls to Christ. That's the whole point of why we're here. John Wyatt knew that. John Wyatt was the reason why we have done so well in reaching out to Western Greenbrier. You know, there's quite a divide between Raynell and Lewisburg. We all know that. And John Wyatt made sure that we knew that as a committee. That's why we have had concerted outreach to Western Greenbrier in the past several years. Had a wonderful headquarters there in 2020. That was because of John Wyatt. And we're so blessed to have had him in our lives. And to start the meeting, I would ask that we have a moment of silence for John Wyatt. Thank you all very much. He was also the fella who gave me this, the attitude adjuster. So I think we're going to use this going forward. And at this time, I would like, I love the attitude adjuster. I mean, he called it the Appalachian Gavel. Of course, it came from the Appalachian. I would like to rename our Republican of the Year award to the Nola Gay Keach and John Wyatt Memorial Award. Would there be any objections to do something like that? Would there be a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion.
Steve moves, Danny seconds. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Thank you all very much. I think that that's an important tribute to somebody that made us who we are. And made us remember that all of Greenbrier County, not just a portion of Greenbrier County, deserves representation. And so we're very grateful to John. Now, I'm going to call the roll. Obviously, John Wyatt is no longer with us. I'm going to start from the Western District. Western District, Steve Dunford.
Here.
Linda Spencer is not here. Veronica Bishop.
Here.
Central District, Sue McKinney, not here. Deborah Bowman.
Here.
Jim Childers is unable to attend tonight. Danny Campbell.
Here.
Eastern District, Sharon McAllister is not here, unable to attend tonight due to illness. Marie Lewis, not here. Also Eastern District, Ben Anderson, here. Trey Ewing.
Present.
We have a quorum of 6, so only takes 6 to have a quorum, so we're ready to conduct business tonight. Thank you for coming. I appreciate that more than you know. I'm also going to have a recognition of candidates tonight. We have a lot of candidates for public office in this room tonight. And I'm going to give each of you just a few sentences to a minute to introduce yourself and to mention what you're running for. There will be other opportunities, and we're going to talk about that tonight, to introduce yourself more eloquently and more fully. But for tonight, we just want to make sure people have faces. You can attach faces to names, and we're going to go in order of who I see. Starting with candidate for Supreme Court, Todd Kirby.
All right, thank you very much. My name is Todd Kirby. I had the chance to speak with a few of you that came in as we started this meeting. I think I'm going to be presenting next month, so I'll make this short and sweet. I am the conservative Republican candidate running for Supreme Court Division 1. I'm currently a circuit judge in Raleigh County. I have a record of being a principled conservative. I have the endorsements of West Virginians for Health Freedom, Young Americans for Liberty, and Make Liberty Win, as well as over 30 endorsements from the most principally conservative delegates and senators in the state legislature. So I would ask each of you to go to my website, kirbyforwv.com, or go to my Facebook page, Kirby for WV, and check me out. Also, after the meeting is concluded, I have yard signs if anyone would be interested. I have plenty, and I would rather not take them all back to back. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Candidate for County Commissioner, Bill Bell.
Bill Bell, seeking the position of the Greenbrier County Commission for the Western Greenbrier District. A little bit about myself, I'm a long-time Republican person. I'm pretty proud of that position as well. I'm a long-time business owner in our county, and I say it pretty plain, this is my first rodeo at doing something like this, other than the small town that I live in right now. So if anyone's got any questions for me after we're done, just reach out to me and I'll do the best I can.
Thank you. We appreciate you. Mary Catherine Tuckwiller, who's running for delegate for the 47th District.
Hi, good evening. I'm Mary Catherine Tuckwiller. I'm running for the House of Delegates in the 47th District. Grateful to be here this evening. You can look up anything about my platform at tuckwillerforwestvirginia.com, and I have some information with me tonight. I look forward to meeting and talking with everyone.
Very good. Thank you for coming tonight. Ray Canterbury, delegate and running for 47th District.
Ray Canterbury running for the re-election to the seat in the House in the 47th District. I do have a lot to talk about, but I'm not going to say anything right now. I'll say it for later. So.
Very good. We greatly appreciate it. Gregory Watt, delegate for 48th.
That's correct. I'm from Webster County. I live in the very northern end. I was appointed by the governor last October, and I just got through our first session in the legislature. I'm a retired Army infantry colonel, and I commanded at 4-star level as a chief of staff. And I'm alive today because of God, and I look forward to the primary.
Thank you very much.
Amen.
Amen. Absolutely. Senator Vince Dees running for re-election in the 10th.
I'll just step up here since Ray yielded some time.
He didn't yield much time.
This is hard on me a minute. I can't say my name in a minute. But hey, I'm Vince Deeds, and I've been privileged to serve you all as Senate in the Senate for the past 4 years. Same guy, God, family, and service. I grew up on a dairy farm, state police, served my whole life, literally served my whole life for the state, but my family has too, and so we're a family of service. It means the world to us, and we want to serve you all again in the next 4 years, and love your support. And we do have some campaign signs, yard signs and stuff. It would be glad for you to take them home with you at the close of the services.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will also recognize you if you're a public official or if you're running unopposed. Delegate Jeff Campbell is running unopposed. Yes, you are. But you're not speaking, don't worry. You're running unopposed for the 46th House District. Lowell County Commissioner Lowell Rose is running unopposed for the Eastern District of County Commission. I see our Sheriff, Bart Baker, here tonight. I see our Circuit Clerk, not circuity, but Circuit Clerk, Jamie Baker, here tonight. We appreciate you being here. And we're also really glad to see our Inspector General of Homeland Security, Mike Honaker, our former delegate of Greenbrier County, here tonight. Let's give him a round of applause. And also State Senator Jack David Woodrum, thankful for you being here tonight. And former delegate Boogie Ambler, glad to have you here tonight too, sir. That being said, we have a lot of, and also I want to recognize the president of the Greenbrier County Republican Club, Prince Thompson. Glad to have you here tonight.
Thank you.
And through the door, just in time, County Commissioner Woody Hanna.
Hey, Woody.
Did I miss anybody important or thinks they're important? That being said, we can get straight into presentation tonight. As Mr. Kirby mentioned, he'll have an opportunity to give a presentation next month. But tonight, our presenter is another candidate for the Supreme Court of the state of West Virginia. She hails from Berkeley County, so she had quite a drive tonight. We're appreciative of her wanting to come down here and asking to come to Greenbrier County to give her platform and why she's running for office and a little bit about herself. Her name is Judge Laura Faircloth. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, first of all, thank all.
Step up just a little bit further so everybody can hear you.
Okay.
A little bit further. Oh, we'll be able to hear you.
So, thank you guys for coming out. This is an incredible crowd. More people than probably were present in Philadelphia 250 years ago that started our country. So, congratulations. Thank you for being here. As I was introduced, I am a circuit judge in Berkeley County, West Virginia. For those of you who don't know where that is, it's on the Panhandle, the Teapot. And we're one of those three counties that drips over onto the side into Maryland, Virginia, and parts of DC. So I'm very honored to be here, and I was asked to just give you a little bit of a history about who I am. So I will try to make it as quick as I can, but I'm pretty old, so there are a lot of years to cover. But in 1976, I graduated from high school. I was in Martinsburg High School in Berkeley County. I was also the student student body president. The reason I'm telling you that is because I was so moved with Senator Dietz's prayer here tonight, because that was when the Vietnam War was raging. It wasn't popular to be an American. It wasn't popular to honor the flag. But when I was the president of the student council, we said the Pledge of Allegiance at every meeting, and we said the Lord's Prayer. And I became known for that, and people would call me the patriot of our class. And I only say that because that's how I started, and that's where I still am. It's not popular today. It's better now than it was 4 years ago, but it's not real popular today to hail the American flag and be proud to be an American. But I am. I'm proud to be an American, and I'm proud to be from West Virginia. So then fast forward, I went to and graduated from Shepherd College and also from WVU College of Law. And I decided to start my own practice and raise my family here. So I have graduated from high school, college, and WVU College of Law, didn't leave, and had my children here. So as I was thinking about coming up here, I thought, what distinguishes me? Because I'm in a race with 4 other people. There are 5 of us running in Division 1. And you need to pick one of us. And then there's Division 2, and you'll need to pick one of those 5 people. So every one of us is a lawyer. We have a background in the practice of law. So what makes me different? Well, what makes me different is, I think, I'm not ever a good old boy. I'm a natural biological woman. So I'm not a good old boy. Never have been, never will be. And I think the other thing that distinguishes me is, even though there are times when the governor needs to appoint people to fill unexpired seats, or maybe to fill a new seat until election can be had, I am the only one running in this race who has judge or justice in front of her name that was never appointed by a governor. I took it on myself to run in a field of 4 people in 2016. I was blessed that the people voted for me, and it's been the honor of my life to serve as one of the circuit judges in Berkeley County. And it's hard to tell you much more than that. So I'm going to tell you a couple of stories, because we have something called the Judicial Canons of Ethics, which pretty much say we can't talk about really what we've done, and we can't talk about what we want to do. And that isn't real fair to voters to try to figure out, okay, how are we going to get this across the finish line? So let me start by telling you what my family background is. I'm from a family of ordinary people. Just, we don't have any doctors or lawyers or engineers or CEOs in our family. I'm a 5th generation West Virginian. Grew up on a farm, and I think it was Senator Dietz who talked about being on a dairy farm. And little dairy bulls don't do well on dairy farms, and so I have a farm that is a rescue for 6 rescue horses, 5 rescue cats, all the geese that managed to land on the pond, and a little dairy bull that's now a great big dairy steer with no horns and other parts, because it's so big. So that's the farm I live on, my family farm, and my dad owned a little restaurant when I was a kid, And I was taught that when you own your own business, there are no sick days. You get up early, you stay late, and if the toilet's clogged, you fix it. And I also learned from a very early age that right after school, I walked down and I was a waitress, and I had to give my tips to the other waitress who was getting paid because my dad said it wasn't fair that she didn't get the tips that I was getting. So I kind of learned to work from the bottom up real early on in life. And my practice after I graduated from law school was just a small practice. I started it on my own, and I was the first woman to do that. And I had about 3 lawyers working for me and a couple of paralegals and a couple of secretaries, and raised my family at the same time. So I don't know if any of you ever noticed that we used to have a guy named Christian Rose who drove for NASCAR, who was sponsored by West Virginia. Does anybody remember that? No? Well, then I'm gonna brag because he's my son and he led like 2 or 3 laps in the Daytona race. So that's kind of like a big deal, and he did it for West Virginia tourism. My daughter is 29 and she's also running for the House of Delegates, and it was despite everything that I tried to tell her about not being a lawyer. Because I said, if you're a good lawyer, on your best day, you're gonna tick off the side you beat, you're gonna tick off the judge because you made the judge work, and your client's probably not gonna be real thrilled with you because even though you might have gotten them a lot of money, they're gonna think they should have gotten more. So I sent her to California so she could study with Miley Cyrus's acting coach. I got her voice lessons. Ultimately, she became Miss Virginia and came back to West Virginia, which is where her roots are. But she wanted to be a lawyer, so I apologize for that as well. But in terms of my courtroom, first of all, I'm the only candidate that's from the east of Charleston and north of Charleston, other than the Panhandle, the northern Panhandle. And why is that important? Well, Interstate 81 runs right through Berkeley County. When I first got elected judge, I learned, unfortunately, that Berkeley County had this unique title that we per capita in the entire nation had more deaths by heroin suicide than any other. And so it became my heartfelt mission to try to do something about that. That's not where I want to be number one. So we have a couple of opportunities to change things as judges. And I can share with you that drug addiction, and probably everybody in this room agrees, that there's not a single one of us whose families have not been touched by drugs in one way or another. And so it's really tough as a judge when you have people in front of you who I say are on a revolving door. They come in, they go out, they come in, they go out, they're on probation. Sometimes I look at 3rd offense DUI that really ought to be 10th offense DUI, and they've never done prison time. So that changes usually when they're in front of me. And it's a tough decision whether to give grace and send somebody to rehab or whether to put them in prison. And I wanted to share with you a story that touched my heart. I was having a really, I don't want to say bad day, every day's a good day, but it was a very stressful day on the bench. Lots of things that had to be taken care of, and we were running a little bit behind. I came back and my assistant said, I need you to read this, and I said, I'll get to it later, and she said no, because it was lunchtime. She said, you really need to read this. And it was a 12-page handwritten letter from somebody who went to prison, and it was from the prison system, and it was somebody I had sentenced. And I thought, this is going to be one of those, please give me a commuted sentence, please revisit your sentencing, I'm better now, I've learned. But it wasn't. It started out with, Dear Judge Faircloth, thank you for saving my life. So those are one of those letters that you really want to read. So I picked it up and took it into my office, closed the door. And he began by saying, when you sentenced me, I was so angry. And when you read the pre-sentence investigative report into the record, I felt every single thing you said because I had forgotten all of the criminal acts I had committed and that I was close to being recidivized, which means a life sentence. But while I've been in prison, I have had the time to find God, and this is where I'm going to work on myself. And about 3 or 4 times throughout the letter, he said, "Thank you, Judge Faircloth, for saving my life." And I don't feel that I did. But it was one of those moments that you need sometimes to know that you can make a difference. So at the very end, he said, "God bless you." And he didn't ask for anything. He didn't ask for me to appear at the parole board. He didn't ask for me to write a letter so he'd get better space at the prison, which was Salem. He just said, "Thank you." So I did look it up, and he goes for the parole board a second time in September. And I am, for the first time in 10 years, going to write a recommendation that they be lenient and graceful to perhaps let him get back to his family. Another thing that sometimes happens in our courtroom has to do with things that are civil cases. Those are where two people or two groups of people have different ideas about how things should be. And I would like to, what is it you call that thing?
The attitude adjuster.
The attitude adjuster. When I was a baby lawyer, right out of law school, I practiced in front of the late Judge Broadwater. He was a federal district judge. I was scared to death. And if you've ever noticed, the judges' benches are always up high. There's a reason for that, because they want the rest of us to feel a little intimidated. Judge Broadwater was by the letter of the law with everything that he did, and he said, now it was imaginary, but I felt it, and he said that the credibility meter was always running. That meant that the lawyers were supposed to mind their P's and Q's, telling the law, don't overstate it, don't understate it, don't make it more than it is, and don't lie to me. So we have, in my courtroom, also an imaginary credibility meter. And I call lawyers down all the time. Plaintiff, defense, it doesn't matter. But if they're going outside of what I know the law is and they're trying to tell me something different, for example, had somebody in my courtroom the other day who was boo-hooing because she said she wanted to get back to take care of her kids. Her kids missed her and she wanted to be a mom. And it was like the 4th time I think she'd been in on a probation violation. Her kids had already been adopted. Her parental rights had been terminated. So even though she may have had a reason, it wasn't to be with her kids. And I told her attorney, the credibility meter is running. I grew up on a farm, and really the real name of that is a BS barometer. I know what it smells like, and it's starting to smell in here, so move on. So that's how I handle my courtroom. Any of you, if you're in Berkeley County and like to come in and see how I handle court, please do. Unless it's a closed adoption or something that's dealing with a minor, you'll have free access and you can see how we do justice in my courtroom. So in kind of summing up, there are some other things that come about in a courtroom. The first time that I had an unusual case when I first got elected was called forfeiture case. Well, I'd read about forfeiture in law school, but I kind of forgot what it was. I knew that it had criminal connotations, but it was really a civil case. Well, what it is, let's say you get charged with having drugs and the drugs are in the car. So you're using the car to transport those drugs back and forth. So the state seizes your car, and at the end of the criminal case, you either forfeit the car to the state or you claim that you have a right to it. Now you need to understand I was only on the bench for about 2 weeks, so I really, really read it and studied it and knew what I had to do, so it was a public hearing. And the person who supposedly owned it said, I don't want it, I just want the case over, the state can have it. Well, you're also supposed to ask, if it's a public hearing, if there's anyone else who has a claim to the property. So I did. And a lady, and she was a big lady, and she was in the back of the room, and she said, I have a claim to the car. And I said, okay, what is your, what's your claim? Do you have title? Do you have a bill of sale? Do you have a receipt? Because there wasn't anything that told me what to say after somebody said that, because they normally don't. There's usually nobody there that's going to make a claim. So she said, well, I'm from Baltimore and I stole it and I've had it for 5 years. So I'm thinking, okay, what do I say? Well, here's what we're going to do. In West Virginia, that's not how title gets conveyed. But if you want to come back when I set this out for a fuller hearing, so you might get some benefit of counsel, and you might take a look at all the marshals in my courtroom because they've got badges and they've got guns. So if you want to come back in a month, then you can, but if you don't, then we're just going to let the state take it. So she didn't come back. We did set it, but she didn't come back. So that's the kind of common sense that you have to have as a judge. And I think because of my history and where I've been or what I've done with my life, using that kind of common sense and the kind of grace that the person in Salem believes that he was shown, I think are the kinds of compassion and common sense that I can bring to the Supreme Court. And that's why I'm running. So thank you very much for being here, and I will take any questions if anybody has any.
Okay, so we will open up the floor to questions at this time. Go for it, Todd. Todd Longacre. Todd, I'm so sorry. I mentioned former delegate Boogie Ambler. I didn't say former delegate Todd Longacre.
Okay.
Good to see you, my friend.
You're getting old.
I'm getting so old. Accounting's wearing on.
Before I get to my question, Broadwater, Judge Broadwater,
Yes.
Colonel Broadwater?
Craig was in the military.
Okay, so my question is why the West Virginia Supreme Court? Why do you want to go there?
Because I do believe we're at a time in our country and our state where there are going to be all kinds of things that are going to be decided that we would have never fathomed before. That's why I kind of mentioned her to Jeff at the beginning when I'm a biological woman. There will be issues like that in front of the Supreme Court. And we are at that point in our history as a state and as a nation where the Supreme Court of the state where you live is going to be making decisions that will last hundreds of years. And so I believe that I can be part of that in the same conservative, common sense, but spiritual way that I've been trying to handle my corporate effort.
Mary Catherine Tuckle.
Your Honor, I am a member of the bar, so I wanted to say that before I prompt this question. And while I know the answer, I think it could be helpful for everyone to hear. You mentioned that there are 2 seats that are up for election. Would you tell us whose term you are running to complete and how long that term will be?
Absolutely. I am filling the seat that was left vacant by Justice Armstead. And I do believe that that is going to be another 7 years, 6 years. So it's consistent with how many years I still have left in my term. But when you said that, I can't resist that my husband, Larry Faircloth, does anybody recognize that name? Okay. Larry Faircloth was the man I married after the father of my children passed away. So he was a huge part of my life. He served with Justice Armstead. He thought very highly of him. And so when I looked at the 2 seats, I thought this would be the seat my husband would want me to fill if voters were wanting to do that. And then that reminds me of something I did want to say about Larry. Larry was 18 months old when he was diagnosed with polio in his right leg. So if you guys knew him, you knew he limped. You knew that he struggled. And it was not until later years that he used cane. And Larry and I worked together before we were boyfriend girlfriend when I was representing a town called Blairton, which is real close to Martinsburg. And long story short, it was a limestone mining quarry town. And the limestone quarry had sold to the people who worked at the quarry their houses, but not the landowner. So they had houses that were built on property they didn't own. When the water system got bad, they evicted these people and they told them they had to leave. So I took the case on a pro bono basis, meaning for free, and I also registered as a lobbyist in Charleston so that I could lobby for that town so that the limestone company couldn't force them off their property. Ultimately, we were able to settle it and conclude it largely because of my husband. And the quarry donated, I think it was $100,000, the county council donated $100,000, and there was another $100,000 where I learned about the contingency via the governor's office. And that brought clean water to the town of Blairton. And people were rejoicing and happy, and they got to live in their houses, and some people had passed away, but they got to do what they said they wanted to do, which was to pass away in the same house they were born. Very touching. And the center of their community was the Methodist Church. That's where everything went on. So at the Methodist Church, we had a celebration when we got water for the people, and they were able to stay. And I remember this really fondly about my husband because we had flirted a little bit with each other at that point, but we hadn't gone out. We hadn't gone out on a date. It was just a very nice conversation that we were having down at the Capitol. And he pulled a chair up and he said, "So what are we going to do about this?" And I said, "Well, we already won. They got their water. We don't have to do anything anymore." He said, "No, I'm going to do it on us." So that's when I started. A little bit of a tribute.
Any other questions to Judge Garrett? Thomas Perkins.
When making a decision as a judge, how important is public comment when making a ruling?
Not at all. And the reason is because I'm not allowed to. So now, what I will tell you is that people are allowed, if they're victims, like if they were robbed, if someone was hurt as a result of a battery or an assault or a malicious wounding, family members and people can then come in and speak to the court. Not always allowed, whoever it is that wants to speak to it, if they're personally involved, to speak to the court. There it is critically important, and I always listen to the victims. There's also a place on what's called a pre-sentence investigative report, where we hear community sentiment, which usually comes from the officers involved. So that one is very, very important to me as a judge. And I can give you an example, and I think you can tell I'm a storyteller, because I had a case recently, and it's going to be on appeal, so I can't talk about the details of it, but I can tell you that the charges were 62 counts of possession, distribution, and manufacturing of child pornography, violence done to a child, and the commission of a sexual act, and some other matters similarly associated. The jury convicted on 58 of 60 of those counts. So when it came time for me to sentence, I heard from the victims. Some of them were still teenagers. One of them was a 16-year-old girl whose mother had to pick her up from school, bring her to testify, whose mother had to pick her up from school to come for the sentencing. And they were able to speak directly to the defendant. And they regained their voice that day. Didn't make it all go away, didn't make it better, didn't destroy the pain, but they had a voice. And all of the officers, and there were 4 who put it all together, all of the children and all of the parents were allowed to speak, and they all asked for the maximum sentence, which this court handed down 908 years, which is the equivalent of 3 life sentences. And there's a constitutional provision called proportionality. So we as judges are not allowed or permitted to sentence someone in proportionate to the crime they committed. So we had a jury verdict, so the guy was convicted. And I said in my order, because it's public, I said in my order that I was observing the concept of proportionality, and in hearing from all of those people who spoke to the court, 3 life sentences was clearly proportional to the destruction of 7 souls. And that it was clearly the intent of this court to let the Supreme Court know and the parole board know that it was the intention of this court to make sure that person never lived to see the light of day to hurt another child. So I hope I've answered your question.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you for that ruling.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a painful trial. It lasted for a week. And what got me through it was that those children suffered far more than I did to have to hear it, because they lived it. But thank you.
Any further questions? Hearing none, we appreciate Judge Laura Faircloth. So just to clarify, I think there was a question about the races here. The race that Ms. Faircloth is in is the same race that also Judge Kirby is in. Judge Kirby will be given the same opportunity next month. I believe we said April 16th, if I'm not mistaken. April 16th. Encourage everybody to come out and hear from Judge Kirby as well. There are 5 individuals running in that race. There's Judge Faircloth, Judge Kirby, Judge H.L. Kirkpatrick of also Raleigh County. I believe his name is Charles Sheehan of Wheeling. And
He's a bankruptcy trustee.
okay, and there's a 5th person. Oh, the one Gerald Titus. He's actually on the Supreme Court. He was appointed by Governor Morrissey. The only 2 people who have reached out to this committee to speak have been Judge Faircloth and Judge Kirby. We're appreciative of both of you for coming down here and showing your willingness to explain your platform and get to know us as a body. So thank you all, and thank you for coming down today, Judge Faircloth.
It was a beautiful day.
Yes, it's a beautiful day, absolutely. So that being said, we have some business to attend to, and some of this will require some public input. So do not feel like just because we have a body up here that you can't raise your hands to speak. This is a public forum, and the executive committee members welcome public comment. Before we get into it, I would like to ask our treasurer, Debbie Bowman, to give us a little treasurer report, kind of explain where we are money-wise.
Okay, I've got a copy of the check ledger from the last page, and our current balance at the moment is $19,648.39.
Very good. And she has the report here. If anybody wants to see it, it's public information. Is there a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
Motion.
Steve moves. Veronica seconds. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. That was minuscule. All in favor say aye. There we go. I don't like your fire, your wood's wet. Just cracking myself up. That is, as it currently stands, I believe the 2nd most of any county in the state of West Virginia. So we've done an exceptional job retaining funds over time, and that will come in use for something we're going to talk about here in a little bit. I want to mention old business on poll workers. That list is being finalized this weekend. And so if you are a current poll worker, you will get a call before the end of this weekend asking you to stay on. We want you to stay on, so please expect a phone call. If you are not a current poll worker, we could use your help. We could use alternate poll workers as well, meaning that if somebody gets sick, if somebody cancels, that you'd be willing to be on standby to come work the polls that day. That happens all the time. And you are paid. You are paid. You're paid $200 to be a poll worker, $210, I believe, if you have a few more responsibilities. It's a long day, but it's good pay for one day. So do consider it. You get to see everybody and their brother, people you love, maybe some people you hate, but you'll smile at them anyways. So please consider being a poll worker and let us know after the meeting if interested. Is there any old business to attend to? Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. And this is something I want some input from the committee, some input from all of you as far as how we are going to handle in the next month town halls, potential of debate. And I want some input from even the candidates as well to say maybe some of your preferences as well. Debates and forums. This is a local community, and I do not want a situation where we have a pie throwing contest. We do not need that. We need something that is fair and equitable, and something that everybody feels that they've been treated well if they're a candidate. That no matter what, that has to be attained. No matter what. And this goes from the following races. Let's go in order here to make sure everybody knows the races at hand. For West Virginia State Senate, there is a race currently between two candidates. Senator Vince Deeds and Jonathan Comer. For West Virginia House of Delegates, there is a race in the 47th District between Delegate Ray Canterbury and Mary Catherine Tuckwiller. For county commissioner, there is a race in the Western District between Bill Bell and Matt Ford. Beyond that, I don't believe there are any other contested races, except for our northern friends, but I would think the Nicholas County Executive Committee could probably handle that one. We're glad just to make sure everybody knows, Greg Watt's district has a sliver of Greenbrier County. It has Quinwood area, all the way almost down to Charmco. So we're glad for you to be here and represent the fact that you are a part of Greenbrier County as well. So thank you for that. That being said, we have 3 contested races. And I would be open to ideas from the committee about whether we should have one meet the candidates night, whether we should have a forum for 3 separate nights for the 3 separate races, or whether we should have a debate format. If we were going to go in the direction of a debate, I would feel more comfortable and most comfortable to do it in conjunction with Brent Thompson. That you and I would work together to make a fair and equitable format for the candidates, that we would field questions, and those questions would be non-personal. Everybody would be asked the same questions, and they need to be policy related. Have to be policy related. Nothing related to potential and personal attacks. We don't need that. We will not condone that. It's completely wrong to allow a format of that sort. Brent, would you be willing to help me do that? So the question is, do we want to have one night with 3 separate debate stages? Maybe each one would take 45 minutes. Or do we want to have 3 separate nights? Do we want to have one night for legislature and one for county commissioner? There's a lot of options there, and I'm going to open up the floor for suggestions.
3 separate nights.
Veronica says 3 separate nights. Why?
Give more opportunity to the candidates to actually speak.
Okay.
And
That would allow
people
more time.
actually have questions and meeting outside the meeting, talk to the candidates and stuff like that. That's my point of view.
What does everybody else think?
No, I think just do one night since there's only 3 candidates, 3 races. Also, you are forgetting there is one on board education that's contested.
There is, but she's a crazy liberal.
It's crazy. Keep it perfect. Yeah.
We'll get that word out. Sorry. In the back, there's a crazy liberal running for Board of Education. Watch out. That said.
Mr. Chairman, my suggestion would be that we do it all in one night. So therefore, it would be easier for the candidates to schedule. It would be easier for the public to come and meet everybody at one time. The public can meet all the candidates all on the same night rather than taking away 2 evenings from home or, whatever. Even though it may run a little later, it started a little sooner and, start on time and start on, keep everything under control. But that would just be my suggestion, just one night.
Then we'll have to decide what we're gonna have.
Right. I think we can find something somewhat centralized. Brent, what do you think of all this? Plot the process.
I like the idea of having one night that they can all come to, and that makes it not only easier for us, but it makes it easier for people who want to come to hear the responses. So I think Brenda's got a good idea.
Another thought, I'll just 1 second, Thomas. Another thought on all of that is we have had a problem, and Todd, you know this, Boogie, you know this, Ray, you know this, anybody that's ran before knows this. We've had a problem in Greenbrier County where leftist organizations and leftist sympathizers want to have forums and invite Republican candidates in a primary. We, as the Republican Party, should be responsible for hosting those forums, not leftist organizations. It makes no sense whatsoever for Real WV, the newspaper owned by Stephen Baldwin, to be the only forum. It makes absolutely no sense. So that being said, we have a responsibility as a party to facilitate that rather than them. So I would
Could you
like,
have the debate before Real West Virginia?
we could probably do that. We could probably do that. I mean, I think it's important that we get this in well before early voting starts. Is this something, I agree with what was said about one night. That's my opinion. Is this something that we might consider having two and one specifically in Western Greenbrier? Only because it is a little bit asking a lot for Rainelle people to come to Lewisburg. And that's just reality. We have a very large county. Is that something we might be willing? Yes, Mark?
Ben, I would highly recommend that. I know sometimes the western end feels underrepresented. So if you would have it on the east side one night and then somewhere on the west side one night, they would feel like they were getting their questions answered as well. Not to mention the fact that if somebody misses the forum or whatever you're gonna call it over here, they can pick it up over there.
I agree.
I think that's your fairest way to do it so that everybody in the county gets a chance to attend.
Thomas, I think you had it.
I second what he said.
Okay, very good. Well, I think that's very reasonable. I think in honor of John White, I think we almost have to.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it just shows better that you include both sides of the county.
Well, and I think too that, if, correct me if I'm wrong, Ray and Mary Catherine's district is primarily
To the west.
to the west, and then we have the county commission candidates are also to the west. And so I think that, you know, maybe your first one needs to be on the west end and then bring it back to the eastern end.
I agree. And I should clarify this. This is important. He's not in, is Jeff Campbell still here?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure this is abundantly clear. The Republican Party's not taking sides here. Jeff Campbell is not unopposed. His opponent is in and out of jail. We just need to make that very abundantly clear. He has been in and out of jail for 6 years. So you are unopposed.
Oh, he's currently out, trust me.
Been them on for 3 nights.
Less is
Currently out.
But regardless, we're not hosting a debate for that. I just want to make sure that's abundantly clear. We're not hosting a debate for that one. So, that being said, any further discussion about these ideas about candidate forums? I love how we can keep things light in here with friends. Todd, yes, sir.
Okay, so if you guys decide to go with a town hall style thing, where the questions are asked, obviously you're gonna have to have some left and right limits for the people who show up that wanna ask questions. But I would gently caution that if someone has a question referring to an incumbent's voting record, that we don't look at that as a personal attack. That is a public voting record.
That's reasonable. That's completely reasonable. Which brings up the question then, should we do that? Or should we have pre-submitted questions? I'm going to give a little personal experience about this. In the last election, we had a debate style where we had pre-submitted questions. The problem with that is the moderator gets accused of altering questions. And I don't want that. So to that effect, town hall might be a safer way to go for everybody involved. Brent, what's your opinion of that?
I agree with that. Because it allows more, immediate, and it allows responses to come back from a previous answer.
Okay.
More transparency.
More transparency. I agree. And we don't want to be falsely accused of anything. And I think it would be fair that way. Any further comment? Okay, hearing none. I think we've all kind of settled on 2 nights, same races. I would say an allotment of 45 minutes each. That way we're out of there fairly quickly. And additionally, it would be town hall style. If there are a semblance of personal attacks through that questioner will be asked to sit down. Will not be tolerated. When I say a personal attack, we'll know the difference. We'll know the difference. Town hall style, 2 nights, Raynell and Lewisburg. Three races. And that's nothing against 48th District. Please don't take that wrong. I will talk to Ben Jean about Nicholas hosting the same. So, is there a motion to the effect of having it in that format? Debbie hasn't gotten happy, so we're going to let Debbie know. Is there a second?
Second is.
Danny. Danny seconds. Any discussion on the committee? Go for it.
Before we say yes to this, so I know our current, deadlines, they have one records. So we got basic questions we can ask them. What about the ones that don't ask one because they're new to this? What kind of questions you want to them if it's not personal questions?
Well, if something is related to a voting record, specifically a voting record, the question for one thing needs to be worded as, why did you vote on such and such bill, which pertain to, because remember, these delegates and senators vote on thousands of bills, so don't expect them to automatically know what that bill is. It needs to be explained what it is, and then it might even be better for the question to be worded in such a fashion as, you voted on such and such bill, you voted this way, this bill pertained to this, what is your general feeling on this? And to your point, then the other person will be simply asked, how would you have voted on this specific bill? It's pinpointed on that bill. Does that make sense? That would make it fair. At least I think so. Don't make it broad and generalized. Wouldn't you say, Prince? Just say, how would you have voted on this bill?
That allows you to get to the real issue that's been raised.
Exactly. Any further discussion on the committee? Okay. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Thank you very much. I think that's going to be a really cool thing. I think we can have a really nice turnout on both ends of the county. I really do. I think that Brent and I have been friends for a long time. I think we can work up some rules that I think will be, everybody will be happy. I really believe that.
Ben, I want to say one thing. I think that you and Brent, if at all possible, for you all to really work together to ensure that all of the candidates are available to attend.
Oh, we will not have that event that night.
Okay.
Unless all 6 involved can be there.
Yes.
It will not happen unless that's possible. Flat
I
out.
think that's very important.
Flat out. Okay, thank you. Thank you. The next issue, which affects a lot of us, is the fact that the West Virginia Republican Party has shut its primary. Independents in this primary are no longer allowed to vote in the Republican primary. That's something that has been debated to the nines. It is decided, it is done. So that being said, we now have to do something about it as a party. My opinion is that there are a lot of conservative independents who are going to come to the election that day, and they're going to be mad. And that could affect us down the line. So I think I say I a lot. I sound so arrogant up here most of the time, and I apologize for my ego. I really do. I really believe we have a duty as a party to inform people of the fact that this has happened. Solely informational purposes, just to make sure the public knows that this has happened. A individual, Nicholas County, who's on the Nicholas County Republican Committee, has agreed to give $1,000 towards this effort. The Nicholas County Republican Executive Committee itself is going to allocate $1,000. But we also have a little bit of responsibility in the fact that we are the most well-to-do executive committee in southern West Virginia. And we do have the funds to make a difference. I'm not big on, at least for something like this, mail. Mail is expensive. Facebook isn't. Facebook is cheap advertising that can get somewhere fast. But I tell you what, if you have $5,000 total going towards the entire 10th senatorial district, you're going to have a huge Republican majority by the end of this. Remember, we are currently a Republican plurality. We do not have a majority. We are not over 50%. We want to be over 50%. By the end of this, we want this that has happened with the decision on independence to be a good thing. And the only way for it to be a good thing is for these individuals to become Republicans and realize, wow, I need to make a decision and not be on the fence any longer. We want that. We want them to, if they are truly conservatives, to come to our side. So that being said, we've already got $2,000 allocated. Monroe County has agreed to give something. I'm going to Monroe County's executive committee next week. I would like for us to consider allocating $3,000. All of this in total would be $5,000. That would be sent to the West Virginia Republican Party, earmarked for the purposes of Facebook advertising between now and the filing deadline, which would have the entire 10th senatorial district, to representing our entire area. And I'm going to ask Summers and Fayette the same. They just don't have the money. They just don't have the money. I think that could do a really good thing for our area. Is there any discussion? Yes, sir.
last day to change your party
If I'm not mistaken, April 21st. Yeah, April 21st is the last day.
So, can you explain again why mailing is less cost?
Mainly because Facebook is going to be more effective. And if we did the same, if we attempted to go beyond Greenbrier, think of it this way: if we did mailing in Greenbrier County alone, would be $5,000. If we did the whole district, we're talking $15,000, $20,000, which is impossible. But Facebook, targeting Facebook specifically, can reach the same amount of people. It'll be hitting their newsfeed constantly that way. And we would be reaching a lot more people with a lot more effective dollar rate. And also, I'm going to say this. There's going to be so much mail in this election, y'all are going to be sick of it. Oh, it's already started, but it ain't yet sick.
We'll get it about June.
It's bad. And the sad thing about it is, I'll just tell all y'all this too. This will unfortunately be one of the lowest turnout elections that we've ever seen. That's reality. This will be a very low turnout election. Partially because I think people are getting sick of the process. So that being said, I think we'll get more bang for a buck through Facebook. Any further discussion? Ashley.
I think that it would be cheaper, I don't know how much mail costs, to simply send these letters out to independents instead of everybody.
It's a good question, but when I say $5,000, that would specifically be independents in Greenbrier County.
Okay, but Facebook, some people don't have Facebook.
That's true.
Or they don't have it. That's awesome.
You bring up a good point.
So I mean, we spend a lot of money to that out there, but that, are independent, some of them might be older, I mean, I would not think about it happening.
I understand that. I understand that.
Why don't we do some newspaper ad or a letter to the editor, get out the newspapers? I mean, well, we have the daily, West Virginia Daily News has gone down to 1 day a week. And we have the Mountain Messenger that may or may not publish it, I don't know. That's 1 day a week.
1 day a week. So the newspaper is not as effective with one spot. I agree about letters to the editor. I like radio. Believe it or not, radio affects more people than you think. Linda.
I wanted to say that West Virginia Daily News, the Board of Realtors always puts out a notice that we will drive people to the polls. And they give the office phone number and my phone number, but I know Mr. Jarvis will take people. The last one they did for us, they've always been free, was $398. Yes, and it wasn't us selling anything, it was just us offering to
Like
take
a
people
community
to the
service
polls.
type of
It
thing.
didn't matter what party they were, but just to take them to the polls.
Which, in their defense, they're just trying to survive.
Right, but still yet, things are not free.
They're not free.
So.
And radio has a cost
You
too.
need to talk to before you submit it.
Well, yeah, well, Jeff, yes, Chris.
Honestly, you're dealing with Facebook, where people don't have Facebook, they do have friends that have it. Your mailers, I'll be honest with you, they don't make it cross my street. So when you send out mailers, it's a one-time shot. If I'm not interested, I tear it up and throw it in the trash. I don't have to take it in the house.
I think the radio.
Facebook, I'm on it. If I see something, I repost it, or when I get work, I talk to my folks about it. And with Facebook, it's consistent. We want to see it all day, every day, for as many days as it's running. So that's the most bang for your buck this day.
I like to disagree with my husband.
Thank you for recording those comments.
That's why you're sitting face to sit. I think we should get another step forward for those that don't have Facebook. Maybe not putting that much money like we put it on Facebook, but invest some money to get in the radio or the newspaper, whatever it is, because they are people, they are not on Facebook.
Danny has a thought. Speak loud, Danny.
What about the cable, TV cable system?
Then we went to $30,000. It's
Radio, newspaper, letters, I don't know.
I have a motion.
Debbie has a
I have
motion.
a motion made. Why don't we allocate, let's say $1,500 that will get 5 radio ads and a few newspaper ads. If that would be enough, then that way we don't have to get permission again to come back and ask, hey, it's gonna cost $700, is that okay? Let's allocate $1,500 and then from that we'll do radio and newspaper. Is that gonna be sufficient to do a few radio ads? $1,500?
Jeff, would that be sufficient to do a few radio ads?
I think so. You would have the lowest available rate. I'm not sure what that is right now. I think it's somewhere around $8 for a 30-second commercial. But I can find out and maybe find out before the meeting ends.
Isaiah?
I just wanted to maybe help give you guys a little bit of information. Our church actually just purchased a radio ad on Radio Greenbrier like 2 weeks ago. Which you can hear it, by the way, every day from 7 to 9 a.m. and then again from 4 to 6 p.m. But so it goes twice a day on both radio stations during primetime driving hours. And for that package, it was $400 for a 30-day period. So I'm just trying to help you guys be able to budget your money. So
And frankly,
it might be a different rate for you guys, I don't know.
Yes,
Say it again. Oh, well, that's true. But probably not much.
It definitely wouldn't be a public service.
Okay.
I had asked for a quote on the rates at $6.25 for a 30-second commercial on WRLB, WKCJ, and WRON, $7 per 30 seconds on News Talk, WSLW. They had not yet calculated 60-second rates.
So we can look into that.
We'll look into that for sure. That's very helpful. Okay, so the motion on the floor is $1,500 to be allocated between newspaper and radio. And is there a second?
Me and second.
You made the motion. Oh, no, Debbie made the
I made
motion.
the motion.
Veronica seconds. Is there any discussion?
Total, $4,500 dedicated to this.
Debbie, will you amend your motion to mention 3,000
Oh,
towards?
I will. I will go ahead and I'm gonna amend my motion to add the $3,000 that will be allocated to use for, the Facebook advertising, along with $1,500 allocation for newspaper and radio advertisements.
Is there a second?
I second that.
I recognize that wasn't perfect parliamentary procedure, but we're all friends.
Man,
So-
I thought you
Linda.
said 5,000 and 1,500 and 3,000. That should be 3,000.
Well, let me clarify that. So
3,000 plus.
what we're getting is 2 donations of 1,000 each, also from Nicholas County, to go towards that effort. And so our portion would only be 3,000 towards Facebook and 1,500 towards the other. I think that gets a lot of avenues. I think it really does. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Thank you all very, very, very much. Okay, we won't keep you all here much longer. I appreciate your all's patience. I have an idea that I think could be a very helpful thing to us as a party. I believe that this executive committee should start a legislative affairs subcommittee. The purpose of this subcommittee is twofold. It would be a liaison between our legislators and the Republican Party. Number one, to make sure that our legislators are informed of local opinion of bills, and make sure that our legislators can inform our committee of what's going on with bills. The session can often be a vacuum, and it goes by very quickly, but I believe it would be very helpful to our legislators for us to have a specific body of 3 individuals that would be willing to be in constant communication with those legislators, to be able to gather information, and also for us to send information to them of party feelings and making sure that bills are in accordance with the party platform more than anything. So that being said, I would like 3 individuals that would be willing to, does not have to be a member of this committee, that would be willing to help in that effort, not in a sort of a way of a combative thing against our legislators, but in a way to be an aid to them, to be able to get word out about bills and also get word to them about party feelings of bills. Are there 3, and Chris Bishop, I believe you're volunteering. Thank you. Chris Bishop volunteers.
I'm not volunteering, but I reckon.
Sure.
Linda was fine, because she's on our.
Linda would be great.
Well, she's our government affairs person on our real estate.
Yes.
So she's bugging Vince and them all the time.
She wanted to come to me, I knew she couldn't.
Right.
Linda would be a great one, and I need one more. Ashley Farrell, thank you very much for your willingness to serve. We have 3 members. We have Linda Perrine, we have Ashley Farrell, and we have Chris Bishop. I would like to hear a motion to approve them as our legislative affairs subcommittee. Danny, would you like to verbalize what you're?
Yes.
Danny says yes, so he moves that we move forward. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. No, that's could be a conflict of interest.
Okay, you can second. Okay, Debbie.
Trey, you want to second that one? He seconds that one. All in favor say aye. Thank you. We have a new committee coming in. I want to make sure that everybody knows who those individuals are. So, passing of John Wyatt, the committee is almost set. There is one race that is contested. I want to make sure people know that Thomas Perkins is running for the Central District, and there are 2 other candidates for male Central District, Danny Campbell and Jim Childers, who was unable to attend tonight. So thank you, Thomas, for being here tonight as well. But I want to make sure that everybody knows who the committee is. So from the Western District, the new membership will be Chris Bishop, Steve Dunford, Veronica Bishop, Maggie Epstein Bostick. You can stand up, Maggie. Should we have a clap for Chris too? From the Central District, for the female position, there will be Ashley Farrell. I was wrong. You're Eastern District. Let me start over. From the Central District, we will have Morgan Cook in the back there. And Debbie Bowman. In the Eastern District, we'll have me. Boo. We'll have Denny Canterbury, who will be returning to our committee after a hiatus. But you were a member of our committee back when?
From 72 up until 8 years ago.
From 1972 up till about 8 years ago. Welcome back, Danny. We're glad to have you. And for the female, Ashley Farrell. We are glad. And Sharon McAllister, who was unable to attend. So, very thankful for those who were willing to step forward. I think we have a really, really good committee to get things done. Definitely are going to miss John, but thank you all for your willingness to serve. Before we close, I would like to mention something. I need help when it comes to getting the word out about meetings. Many of you in this room are used to a text message, maybe at 11:30 at night, the week of the meeting, from Ben Anderson. Please come to this meeting. I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore. Ever since I got my CPA license, I just can't do it. It's a miracle I'm here tonight. It's a miracle I'm alive. We need volunteers desperately who know a little bit about emails, know a little bit about maybe an Excel form to keep track of data of individuals who want to be on the party contact list. We need help desperately. So I'm pleading with you tonight. If you are interested in helping with that effort, please let me know. Because I think if we can build that and build up our communications well, I think we can really continue to grow this party. I think that has been the missing link for some time. And I'm really excited if somebody would be willing to step forward, or multiple individuals be willing to step forward. Also, I want to mention the young man in the front row here. His name is Aaron Withrow. We all call him Beans. Hello, Beans. Hello. Beans Withrow is now an admin on our party Facebook. He will often come up with some really good posts for us, and we're very appreciative of that. So thank you so much. It causes some problems from time to time. That's great. Now, so we love to do that.
We like ruckuses.
We love ruckuses. And I will, before I shut up, which there is something called constant contact. We might, by the next meeting, look into that. It's a quick way to send out automatic text messages to anybody, or automatic emails to the individuals to know about our upcoming events. I'd like to look into that and invest in it. Ashley.
Can we make like a set schedule for all the months, like all the meetings, like maybe like the second Tuesday, or like a second?
Actually, it's in our bylaws.
It is in our bylaws, and I can't remember what's in our bylaws. What is it? It's the second
Second
Tuesday.
Thursday.
Second Tuesday.
Thursday.
Second Thursday. Second Thursday. Okay, then let's get back to that then.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Denny has meetings on Thursday anymore.
Why didn't we amend the bylaws to say that?
Maybe Thursday? Is it every
Tuesday,
Thursday?
I was thinking Tuesday.
Tuesday? Okay.
We can go back to that.
We need to revisit that. We need to revisit that, but we need to have a set monthly meeting. We need to have a set monthly meeting. It's going to be helpful to everybody. That being said, one last point from Ben. I think we need to, in the future, when we're having our rallies, whether it be in the future for Vance or Rubio or whatever happens, or another Trump rally or whatever happens, I think we need to stop using the downtown Lewisburg green space.
Yes.
Because it's become a really toxic thing.
Yes.
A really toxic thing because the Democrats have completely poisoned the well in downtown Lewisburg. It does us no good. It puts us in a dangerous position. And I would rather going forward we not use downtown Lewisburg. It's just not worth it. Because honestly, it has been so connected now to the radical left. I don't want any part of it. That's Ben's opinion. Any opinions on that?
No kings.
Yeah, that's the difference. They're having those rallies in the middle of the day. We're Republicans. We have jobs. We don't have time to do it. So I don't want to be associated with this. I agree. So that being said, open discussion time. Any comments for the good of the party? Oh, that's a very good point. We do have some individuals running for the State Republican Executive Committee that are here with us tonight. That would be Deborah Bowman. She's running for State Committee as a Republican. And we have Danny Campbell, who's running for State Committee. And Jack David Woodrum, he's running for that too. Yay. So thank you for mentioning that. Any other comments for the good of the party? Yes, ma'am.
Are you still going to be
Well, unless they want somebody else, I'd like to continue as chairman. Yes, ma'am.
The reason I'm asking, you have a good, clear, sound voice.
Thank you.
And you're a likable kid. Come on.
You made my whole day.
Actually, the way that works, that is really good.
I agree. I think that that's something that we'll all be able to vote on. But if you all choose to continue to have me as chairman, I would be very, very glad to continue to serve. Thank you, Danny. But thank you for your kind words. You made my whole day. Thank you. Any other comments for the good of the party?
Would there be a central point in the county other than Lewisburg?
Asbury, and Franklin Mike Tuber's church. That would be probably a really, Veronica goes there and Chris does, so I mean, that's a potential location for us. And they've been willing to have us before at that church. And that would be a central location. It's fairly right off the interstate, yeah. So it's that's a good thought. Any other comments for the good of the party? Hearing none and benediction, I would like for us to all stand. Let's all sing God Bless America. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Good night, everybody. Thank you.